Okay, and we're back. We got the third coat of pink dry. So now we're gonna play with stripes. So what I do is I tape the stripes off with blue, you can use blue or green painter's tape. And pretty much the way that I do it is that I have some spacer tapes, little pieces here that will make sure that I get even stripes. You know, I don't want real fat ones here and real skinny ones there. I want them to all be similar. So basically what you're gonna do is mark off a strip of tape, and because this is fresh paint, you're gonna wanna, what they call detach the tape, which is just kind of get some fuzzies on it. You know, you run it across your clothes and it makes it sticky, but not, I mean, less sticky, but still sticky enough for what we need, if that makes sense. So basically we're there. We want to burnish it down just a little bit, and I don't need spacer tapes anymore. All right, so if you don't want bleeding stripes or paint bleed underneath the tape, because even though you got to burnish down and it's all nice and tight, there can still be paint bleed. So there's a couple of different things that you can do, and you can paint. The best way to do it is paint your base color again, just based along the sides of the tape. But another good way, and a fast dry, because this is silk paint, I'd have to wait 2 hours for it to dry, is just go ahead and take some clear coat. This is where I really go down to the bottom of my cans on certain things, and you know, you don't throw it out. You know, there's always a use all the way good to the last drop on paint, and I'll talk about that on another project with what you do with the ends of your cans of regular paint. But this is just a satin clear coat, and what I'm just going to do is it's kind of based along the edges of the tape, which is basically, if something's going to bleed, it's going to be the clear coat. And that's really what I want, because clear coat will dry clear, duh, and you won't be able to tell. So pretty much I'm just going to go along here, and this stuff dries really fast. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and base these pieces of tape, and then on the front I've got another set of stripes that I'm doing, because you can never get too many stripes, that I'm going to do on the front of the drawers, and I can show you that technique while this is drying. And pretty much what we're going to do on these stripes is paint in aubergine, which is an eggplant dark purple color, and it's really stunning against the pink. It kind of cools the pink down. You know, I love this color. It's a real hot color, but it can be a little bit much all on its own, and I don't really want it to be, I want to cool it down. So the purple is going to be one good way, because it's almost black. It presents itself, you know, either a really dark blue or a dark black. As much as it does the purple, depending on what you're pairing it with. So we're just going along, right along the inside edges of the tape, kind of pushing the clear coat, you know, up against the tape and sealing that edge. And I like to use an artist brush to do that. Usually I'll use a little larger artist brush than this on these big stripes, but this is the paintbrush I had in my hand. So this is what we're doing. Now, when you do stripes, they're much easier if it's on a painted surface that's flat, like what I'm doing now. If you follow me, you'll see that I've done it on fabric. And that is really good. It's a little more tricky on fabric, because fabric usually has some kind of a nap to it, and it's not flat where the paint, the tape will really stick 100% to it. So that is a little trickier, but you can do it certainly. And it works out really well. So here we go, a couple more to do. And these are gonna be what we call faded stripes. They're gonna vanishing stripes is another way to call it. And pretty much what's gonna happen is that they're gonna be dark, solid aubergine down at the base, because I wanna ground this piece down at the base, and then they're gonna fade out, blend out into the pink. So they'll just disappear as they go up the piece. This is the base, that's the top. And while I was off camera, I got all the rest of the, well, most of the rest of the painting done. On the inside of the cabinets, I did 2 coats of Baja Gray, which again, it's cooling down that pink a little bit. You know, you want to pick some colors that are really offsetting. And too many hot colors is a different look, but it wasn't what I was going for. I wanted it cool down, and the grays and the purples are a good way to do that. Now the base inside down here, you might see I did another color, which is amethyst, which is a brighter purple. That you're not going to really see because the doors will go on the front of this part. This is the inside of the cabinet. And call me crazy, but I do paint the inside of my cabinets in a lot of cases. So that when you open the doors, you got some more interest there. So, all right, so we got all the edges. Let's see, I got one more I missed. All the edges basted, and we're just gonna let that dry for a minute. You don't have to be super neat, you just gotta get all the little chunks out, smooth them out. And that is good to go. All right, so that is the clear coat, which I had a lid somewhere. Story of my life. I spent half my time running around. Oh, it's on top of the other one. All right. Okay, and just this little bit of clear coat that's left in here, I can probably do 8 or 10 more pieces with it, so on the stripes. All right, I'm gonna come around to the front because I wanna show you the front of these drawers. I taped off one of them, and I did exactly what I did here. And I'll do it down here, but I figured we just get one started so that you could see the effect. So what I'm doing is that this gold, they're gonna be gold stripes, and this is the Moonshine Metallics. And again, you don't need a lot of paint. So usually I paint out of my lids in a lot of cases. And that's all we're gonna do. We're gonna take and just run. Now when you deal with these Moonshine Metallics, you gotta remember, paint in the same direction. There's metallic flakes in this paint, and it will pick up the light. And if you just paint willy-nilly, it's gonna look like a hot mess. So you wanna get everything in the same direction with basically the same amount of paint. You will see brush strokes in this, but you know, that's okay. This is one of the cases that brush strokes look kind of cool in the metallic paint. I do this a lot. My favorite metallic is the Steel Magnolia. That's a pretty color. But we're doing gold on this one. And I'm not normally a gold girl. But, you know, you got to get outside your comfort zone. And the gold is so pretty with the purple, with the pinks. It's just a nice accent. Silver would have been nice too, but In this case, we're just doing something a little bit different. I do silver all the time, so I want to try a little bit different. So pretty much we're just going in one direction. And I only need really one coat on this. You can do two if you really want solid coverage, but I want kind of a translucent look to these stripes. So you can see the pink underneath. It's just kind of a frosting. All right, put my lid back on. Okay. Since I'm not going to be able to wash this right away, I'm going to little spritz of water on the brush so it stays wet. And voila. I'm going to save my tape because I'm going to do it on this other drawer down here. And there. Ta-da! All right, so we got one drawer striped. Okay, now we're going to come back up here. And this stuff's in good shape. Okay. And we're going to start. Now, on these disappearing stripes, what you're going to want to do is you're basically blending the paint, but you're really not going to do much of your biggest blend is going to be on your second coat. And in this particular case, I'm going to get a little bit of water because this is back with the chalk paint again. Oh, can you hear me? Chip, help! Hand me my water.
Oh my God.
I know, it's like a circus act here. All right, since we're back with the chalk paint and not the silk paint, you do use a little bit of water with it. And basically we're gonna get this on. And this dark purple is really hard to blend. I'm just gonna tell you that. This was a great idea, but it wasn't the easiest idea. It tends to take over a lot. Blendable colors, it's best if you blend, or it's easiest if you blend two colors that are really close together. Like if I did this with a blue or even the amethyst, it'd probably be a little easier blend. But it's gonna take water, and as soon as I get this first coat on, I'll show you a little bit about it, because we're gonna put a little more pink on, and even though it's a silk, I did find out you can blend silk and chalk paint together. You do lose the properties of the silk paint, but I plan to top coat this anyway. So when I say lose the properties, there's a built-in top coat as well as a primer. So if I just left the pink alone, I wouldn't really have to do a top coat on this. But I want to make sure we got solid coverage of the purple at the bottom. And then we'll work our way up. Bear with me, it looks like a hot mess now, but it will eventually, with some water and some dry time and a couple of layers of paint, we'll get a blend that will fade out. And I just really want to go the bottom quarter to a third of this piece with the stripes, because it is such a long, narrow piece. If I went all the way up, I think it would look a little bit like a bowling alley stripe, so I didn't really want to do that. All right, so we've got our purple on the first coat. All right. So then what you're going to want to do is take your pink. Pink. I got a couple of cans of pink open here. I'll use the one that's almost finished because you really don't need much paint on your brush to do this. But you do need to figure out how to open a Ziploc bag. All right, back to my favorite Scarlet brush. And pretty much what you're gonna wanna do on this coat is just get it right up on top of the purple. And I tape more than what I'm gonna need because sometimes the blending is not an exact science. So sometimes you need a little bit more space to blend and sometimes you need a little bit less to take that color up. So, and I don't know if you're close enough to see, but pretty much with the blending, you just want to get rid of that harsh line of the purple. And yes, you will get paint on, oh, this is what I forgot to do. I need some paper towels. But pretty much you're just going to want to marry the two if you can. And you also normally have a third brush that is a blending brush that's clean. All right, so you're going to start getting purple on your pink and pink on your purple, so you want to keep your brush kind of clean. And you also want to use water because water will help marry the two colors. And since I got the piece on its back, I don't have a problem with spraying the piece itself. But you're pretty much just going to go back and forth. And there is another blending brush that's really great, a big round brush. I'll show that to you when I do the other side. And you can get a nice buffed out finish with that. But pretty much I'm just trying to get rid of that harsh line. And like I said, this is the first coat, so it's gonna take another coat. Oops. And see, that's what happens when you don't clean your brush. You get that harsh brush marks. And you use a lot of water, and you want to be careful on your first coat because you don't want to pull the paint up. So that is probably as far as I'm going to get on this. We're going to let the paint dry a little bit so we get a good dry coat of purple on here. And then we'll go back and repeat this process and get a really pretty blend. And then I'll pull the tape when we do that so you get to see how different it looks. Because with the tape on, it really looks different. It doesn't look as good. You'll be amazed, or not, when you see the tape up. All right, the most important thing about blending is know when to stop. I've got it okay for the first coat, but I'm gonna leave it because if you keep going, it just gets worse, diminishing returns. So I'll be back in a little bit.